Hi everyone, Scrappy Kathy here with my last layout share of the Calvinball season. Um, as you know, Calvinball ran from March 1st to March 31st. I kind of broke up my layout shares. I was hoping to do them on a more regular basis, but kind of got caught up in the game itself. And my last layout share were those that I did during the Secret Not Secret party. And these are the ones I did after that. There were just, there fewer than 24. I forget exactly how many. But I'll kind of go through these. Some of these are my very favorites, including this one that's on top. But I'll try to keep this one fairly short. Okay, this one is called Jumpin' Jack Flash, and I have a piece that is falling out. I'll put that aside. It's one where I obviously was trying to go for all the points, but find some kind of unique or unusual way to display them. So going off the fact that my grandson at the age of 4 was wearing a Rolling Stones t-shirt with the tongue on it in the photo, and it's not a very good photo, so I couldn't print it very large. I did print 2 copies of it, one in color, one in black and white, to satisfy that point in Calvinball. I searched for a colorful tongue that actually what I was trying to match were these alphas that are in the Imagine That boy set by Echo Park. And I had just gotten that in a boy themed kit from Christina at Secret Not Secret. And I absolutely love these alphas. So that was kind of the building point. I found this on the internet, printed it in 12 by 12. I did some slices on right up here so that I could tuck things under. I've got my llama, my bling, my embossed piece, some vellum, some gingham, some crepe paper, some printed paper. I've got I have lemons and cacti and happy and a coffee cup and an emoticon and camera and sequin and hedgehog and avocado. I believe on this day, we had a lot of rules taken away. On this day, they were actually given back to us. So I decided to use everything I could. I forget how many points this one had, but it was one of my higher point layouts, and certainly one of the most fun to do. Chipboard, there was chipboard there, and the color purple, and some bling. Anyway, I'll put that aside. I could go on all day with that layout because I love it. This one is another one that was very high point. It's a, you've seen this design, I think I'll show it later, the kind of film strip type look down at an angle that way, and then a landscape picture over on the other side. This one has what I did was use a text sheet of paper at the back. I used some glue to glue the beads down. I just kind of put the glue there, kind of pushed the beads in the direction of the glue, and then poured glue on top. And they stayed. It's amazing. And I've got unicorns and llamas and mermaids and bagels and half moon or 3/4 moon. I used border punch leavings, the scraps from border punches, in various paper types to satisfy the numbered paper, the graph paper, and the striped paper. And I've got buttons and cacti and animal print. I cut the word lucky out of some animal print. So by now you've gotten the idea that I'll try pretty much anything to come up with an unusual way of tossing in lots and lots of Calvinball points. I needed a bow, and this didn't lend itself to a bow, so I kind of tucked the bow up under the photograph. If I were to write a book on how to do Calvinball, I'd say pop up your photos to give yourself room to kind of tuck things underneath. That's kind of key. And if I were to write the book about how to do Calvinball layouts, piling on lots of points without making them look cluttered, you should throw the book away, because I don't believe in not making them look cluttered. I actually kind of like the cluttered look of Calvinball layouts, and I have enjoyed every little bit of clutter. This is not to say that I don't look forward to doing more minimalist layouts after Calvinball every year, but okay, so this one is one that kind of had a bit of a design. I saw these photos of Ava at 2 different times, 2 different parks, and printed one in color, one in black and white, and used the curves. I tore this photo out, used the curves to do my sequins. I had fun on this one with doing things a little bit differently than I had done in some others. So I've got some stenciling here. The clouds are there. The clouds had come back as a rule. This is my holographic foil. I had most of the competition just been using holographic foil stars, which I happen to have a big sheet of. So here are some, these are actually planner stickers that I used to include my hexagons. I've got hedgehogs. Just to me a fun page, and I found a set of Project Life cards. They're actual Project Life cards that had, and there were 2 cards that had this giraffe with the glasses on. So I used one of them here. I fussy cut him out, and so that was lots of fun. This one is, I do this a lot, the same photo twice. I think I was actually lifting a design by Natalie Nelson of For the Love of Pretty Paper. She did a very minimalist layout at the very beginning of the competition, and I lifted it earlier in the month. This one was to see how many points I could fit in while still trying to lift a minimalist layout. And I fit in a lot, but I think I still kind of kept with her design. What the jumping off point was here was the mason jar, and I found this in some October afternoon chipboard, and she had a mason jar in hers. It was larger with in proportion to her photo, but she had the star on top and a tag here and some things tucked under off to the side. Here I did just little dots and put the beads on like sequins. She had some tangled thread. That's something I did a lot last year's Calvinball. The rule was to either do stitching on your page or have thread in some form. So I hate stitching, so I tangled up thread and tucked it under. So I like this page a lot. I love this old My Mind's Eye ombre paper. I found 2 sheets of that. I just really love the quality of My Mind's Eye paper, and I had forgotten that I had this. So lots and lots of fun with this page, and oh, balloons. I actually found a border punch that punched balloons. So I got in this little border punch of these 3 balloons, I got the animal print because that's the pattern on the paper, the balloon, and the border punch points. So cool. That was the good thing about this year's Calvinball, is you could stack points. Haven't ever been able to do that in the past, and I objected to it at first, but I learned to love it as we went along. This one was a one that was driven by the photo. I found a sticker sheet that had some playground stuff, and I saw it at the beginning of the month. Then later in the month, I ran across this photo, went back hunting for that, and used as much from that sticker sheet as possible. Even I split this little merry-go-round kind of thing so I could fit it on the page and along with the photos. And it gave me my title. We needed a multicolor title, so I have Happy Playground Fun, and that's nothing if not multicolored. But I really love I guess the page, the spirit of the page kind of goes along with the joy in the photograph. Okay, here's one. One of the rules that came out towards the end of the month was for felt animals. So that's where I quickly got out my die cut machine and some felt that I had saved from the kids' craft supplies, and I tried several dies. I managed to cut clouds, which are not animals, I understand, but clouds and some raindrops, and the turtle die worked. I think anything any more intricate was probably not going to cut it. But this one actually also followed I think I lifted a grid design from someone's layout, and I just piled on things. I have my corner, photo corners there, some tassels here, border cut. I actually put googly eyes on my turtle. I have a sparkly glitter mermaid. I've got a rubber llama there, and all kinds of fun things. This was a Disney page from one of the Disney trips. She was almost 4, and of course Ava called it Dincy, and we've continued to call it Dincy in deference to her, but she looks at us like we're crazy now and says, "Why do you call it that?" She doesn't remember. Okay, and then this one was a one I did for Chinese Whispers, and I don't think I published this in the Calvinball layout. This, I'll explain Chinese Whispers later. I'm probably going to do a separate video on the this past Chinese Whispers game, which was going on at the same time as Calvinball. But because we had to keep the layout secret until the reveal, I couldn't publish them anywhere. So this one is, I had seen this photo, not a great quality photo, and I printed it much bigger than it should have been printed, but I did it because I really wanted to see these expressions on the kids' faces. And it's kind of a page about how grateful I am to have been so close to these kids as they were growing up, and to be able to capture and reflect back on moments like these. And I have my felt turtle again, and what's funny is we got a point for including the word lucky, because the game does happen in the month of March for St. Patrick's Day. And in Ava's life, she has had a turtle that showed up, just a road turtle that showed up in our yard, and she adopted it, and she called him Lucky Cheese, and I had found this little say cheese thing, so Lucky Say Cheese and a picture of a turtle here. Special meaning in this goofy family. Okay, next one was, this had come up. We had just been to Lovable to have an acai bowl, and this picture came up in my memories on Facebook, and the journaling is falling out. I think you've probably seen way too much of that. I need to use liquid glue to anchor these clusters. What I do is sometimes, most of the time, especially if I'm doing mixed media, I'll do the mixed media on the background and put the background aside, and then I'll build the clusters separately and then stick them all on. And sometimes, if I'm using the good adhesive, the double stick adhesive that you roll on will hold. If it's not that one particular brand, scrapbook adhesives, by the way, by 3L, if it's not that adhesive, it tends, larger clusters will just come apart. The thin things will stick, although you can see that that's lifting up. Anyway, this is another of those Jane Davenport sheets from it's a pad of her mixed media that you can cut out and use as pattern paper. And I thought it was perfect. It fit the Lovable decor scheme, and this was which is purple and this lime green. So I happen to have glittery letters in those colors. This may actually have been, I think it was, the last layout that I did for Calvinball. This one is another, as I said, everything's out of order, and I kind of wanted to keep this one last for this video purpose. This is another one that I couldn't reveal. It was in the Chinese Whispers. This design of the film strip down the side and then a larger photo here came to me as the layout that I was supposed to lift. And it's a design that I've used for several years, and I happen to have some of these. I've been hoarding them, and I used, as you can see, a couple on this layout of these kind of vinyl film strips that really reinforce the theme. And this is my granddaughter Katie. She had just had her hair done in preparation for prom, and just had it cut and colored and styled. And so it was a big moment for her, and I did this. This is a minimal layout in Calvinball terms, but it's probably embellished quite a bit more heavily than the sample layout, or than the layout that was given to me. But it's probably one of my favorite layouts that I produced in the month, and my granddaughter loves it, so that's good. Now this one, which I've saved to last, was not the last layout I did. It was the first layout I did on the last day. And just a little backstory, the night before the last day, we had, or the day before, we had 2 live crops with other Calvinball participants. And during the live crops, people could add rules, and Alice was in this mood, Alice Bull, of Scrap Happy, who hosted Calvinball this year and will in future years. Alice was in a mood to just add any rule that anyone came up with. So on the last night, these 30 rules were added. So on the last on the last day, I had 30 more things I could add to my layouts for points. So I tried to do every single to get every single point that was possible, and I believe there were a possible 155 points. I may be off on the numbers, but this one actually got me 145 points. It took several hours because I kept having to go back and check the list, and I kept having to figure out how I was going to fit whatever it was on this layout. But I love it. It's bright and it's colorful and it's funny and it has a lot of stuff. As you can see, I cut a slit here so that I could slide things under. One of the things for the balloon point, I had actually fussy cut out some balloons from a birthday line of papers from Simple Stories, and there are 3 balloons there, and I cut the slit, and I have 2 of the balloons through here because I really only had room for 1 in the grand scheme of things. One of the things that rules was that you get a point for 4 or more photos, and you get a point for a selfie, and you get a point for shaping photo, and you get a point for distressing. So, and a point for having a black and white photo. So I did 4 photos of myself. They're selfies. I did printed one bigger and the other 3 the same size. I made one of them black and white, and just kind of tucked them in at oddball places. I had this in a grid style. I had my multicolored letters. I had my butterfly, my cork, anyway, this one is, you could probably spend a couple of hours going over each element, cut file backed with ombre paper and tassels and sequins. Again, not a layout I would want to do every day. I have a Bramble Fox little frame here for my hedgehog. This is a Cheeky Studios satin bow, and I decided to put that on my my llama. And I die cut a key out of some of my own watercolor work. I've got my felt turtle with a best day sticker on his back. Just craziness, absolute craziness here, and so much fun. So that, and it's a great, even though it wasn't the last layout that I produced on that day, I did it as though it could have been. And it summarizes all of the fun and color and chaos and excitement that Calvinball is. And after topping the leaderboard for many days during the month, I was toppled by someone at the last minute on the last day, and that's also part of the unexpected fun and chaos that's in the game. So I'd highly recommend it. Put it on your calendars for next March and join in the fun. You do not have to devote your life to it and make every layout for Calvinball points. You can do some layouts that you might do otherwise, kind of like this one, and but every once in a while, I think this time I did 3 layouts like this where I was purely all about getting the points. So I'd recommend it. I loved it. I'm still enjoying it. I still have little containers of cactuses and wood cameras and hedgehogs and avocados, and you'll see those on my layouts whether it's Calvinball or not, because they're just kind of fun elements to add. So enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how Calvinball took over my life, and then we'll get back to a more a slower pace, maybe, except right now I'm working on many different challenges as evidenced by my my dry erase board there that was given to me by Shannon Allor at the Rediscover Your Stash Secret Not Secret Spring Retreat in Oak Harbor. I'm now working on several different challenges, and at some point I'm probably going to decide whether to divide those up or do a layout share for the week showing which challenge each page was for. So until then, enjoy, have a great week. Scrappy Kathy out.